Hello and welcome back to BIPL Season 4. We have our second match of the day here after a really tight showdown between Jadon and Hendo going to a double last chance. We've got a whole new batch of players, and this is a really unpredictable match. We've got a lot of, players who on their day can be very good indeed.
Yeah, I mean, currently Epos, who arguably the best player in British and Irish Trackmania, as he has been in previous tournaments. Definitely up there with Boz. He is currently 11th in standings. He's currently 6th in the standings on 11 points. Directly behind him, we then have Acrose in a tied 7th with Whizzy, both on 10 points. And
They
then
tell the match
we have...
spare.
Yeah, with another match spare, sure. And then we have Lynxie on 9 points. So all four players are occupying 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th in the standings. Probably going to be looking to shake things up here, unless you're Epos, obviously. You want to stay in that 6th place. I see what you mean now. Yes, they still have another match to play, so Epos will probably move up as, for example, he's currently tied with Killian, who has just gained an additional 3 points from the previous match. But it's going to be a really close one. As you said as well, like, there is kind of an element of unpredictability here because, like, Epos losing to Jadon last week, Acrose has had a 1st and 2 seconds, same with Whizzy. Lynxie beat Boz in week 1, but has kind of fallen off in performance since then, finishing 2nd and 3rd. See if he can bounce back and upset the old guard of British and Irish Trackmania.
Yeah, he feels like the big unknown in this match. We've obviously seen, Epos, Acrose, Whizzy play so many matches. Each have had, amazing results. Epos won BIPC 2, Whizzy won BIPC 3, Acrose has won Cup and Cymru, and also he came 2nd in last BIPL season. They've all been at the top for so long. And then you've got kind of the new kid on the block. You've got Lynxie, who almost managed to upset Hendo last week. Did manage to upset Boz on the first week, but then had a very unexpected result, I'd say, in his third round match, losing out to Killian and Eggy. I didn't really see that coming after how good he'd looked so far, so I have no idea what to expect from him. And yeah, I struggled to go into this one with any idea who's going to come out on top?
I was literally just about to ask you if you could pick a favorite, but I guess that answers my question that you're really not sure.
Epos.
Yeah, see, that's exactly the way that I'm leaning as well. I said earlier on broadcast that Whizzy typically peaks on the last day of tournaments when it really matters. I mean, we saw that in BIPC 3, for example, beating Boz in the final. But also in previous BIPL weeks, he's maybe had a shaky week 1, week 2, and has then actually looked strongest to close out the tournament. So we might see Whizzy in BIPC 3 winning form here. I would still say my money's on Epos, has just kind of been the one to beat for quite some time now, and we've only really seen Boz be capable. Jadon, obviously, last week got the better of him, and I think that's the first time that we've seen a player other than Boz really actually kind of take the fight to Epos and beat him.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Whizzy beat Epos in British and Irish Trackmania competition, which might be a stat that I'm making up, but just based on pure feeling, I feel like that hasn't happened.
Yeah, I can't think of any times where he has actually beaten Epos in our competitions, at least. Beat him in the duos format of World Cup back in 2023, of course. But that's almost incomparable on this kind of maps. But he's certainly beating him on this first round here. We have Whizzy leading from Acrose. Good start for those two. Lynxie and Epos having made mistakes, dropping them back. Epos, the worst of them. 2 seconds down. He won't be wanting that to continue at all.
Yeah, Epos full crash the bug slide at the start, as we've seen so many players do, and Whizzy is putting together a time here, 53.8. I mean, we watched Jaden, Boz, and Hendo driving 53.9s, and we thought that was quick enough. Whizzy driving a 53.8 low, setting the early pace here. That's kind of crazy. Acrose drove a solid round there, but was 3.5 tenths back.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely behind on the pace there. Hopefully with some less crashes in this round, maybe we can get a better idea of where everyone sits rather than just those two players. Does everyone survive the bug slide? It looks like it, and it's Whizzy and Epos out in front. Lynxie there as well. Odd line going into this map. I remember Boz commenting after his match in week 1 against Lynxie that this map looked like his best, so I'd be intrigued to see if that has carried over with the map having, gone missing for a week. But for now, it is Epos versus Whizzy at the front. And Epos taking the lead, quickly undoing the pretty awful first round he had on for an easy round win here.
Oh.
And drives a 0.7.
0.7. Okay. One bad round for Epos. He's like, okay, I've shaken it off now. Now's where we drive the proper times. Whizzy drove a 0.9 there, and even that wasn't good enough for the round win. 0.7 from Epos is absolutely insane, but I mean, that's what we've come to know him for, right? He just full risks, full sends, full of self-confidence, and just puts in banger times like that. So if he can keep up the consistency, that is the Epos that we have come to know and other players have come to fear. But yeah, it's just a case of whether he can maintain it. Whizzy?
Whizzy going on a
weird
little adventure there, but only ends up like a couple of attempts behind. Got Epos out in the lead here. Acrose and Lynxie a lot closer this time around than last time. And Lynxie tries to full push for outside dirt, doesn't end up doing a great job of it at all. Clips the outside, and it is these 3 members of the old guard in the lead. Is Whizzy gonna get Acrose? No. Half 10 in there still.
It was a much slower round. Epos driving 4 tenths slower than the previous one. Still a 54.1. Not really sure why the pace was necessarily slower there. It still looked like a pretty good round from all the players. It was just Lynxie pushing the outside dirt and paying the price for it, as you said. And does end up at an early disadvantage here, dropping 73 points. Epos and Whizzy on 90 and 89 respectively, and then Acrose only a little bit behind on 85. So I wouldn't say that there is a clear winner from this map as we go on to round 4 of 4, but I definitely think there is a clear loser in Lynxie here. And if this is his best map, as you say, it's slightly worrying.
Yeah.
It sets a bit of a precedent going forwards.
I hope for his sake I'm very wrong. Because it would be nice to see him be able to contest this kind of more experienced set of players as a newbie. Or certainly newer to our scene. This is the first of the competitions that he's played in from our side. I believe he's played in EMC in the past and TSCC and a couple of other things. Wow. That's unfortunate.
That's a snipe.
Yeah,
whoa, Whizzy. Look at the time.
Oh, yep,
0.735.
As you do.
Wow. Okay, this is heating up now. Whizzy looks very well trained. The fact that he can drive that quickly, this could be kind of a generational battle here between Epos and Whizzy. Like, I feel like we saw Whizzy peaking in BIPC on the final day. It looks like he might have actually been able to find that same form once again.
Maybe it's possible. I think it's still going to be a tough match if, so long as Epos is looking in any way practiced or in any way, competent, it's going to be a massive threat. But, yeah, solid start for both of those players. Acrose, I worry he's going to end up in a bit of a no man's land here. Kind of looking better than Lynxie and a bit worse than Whizzy and Epos, but I still expect him to be able to pull, some upsets round to round.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that assessment. I guess we haven't really been talking about him so far because, as you say, the battle does seem to be between Epos and Whizzy for the win. Acrose just not able to drive at that pace that they were putting down on Mime's map there. But, you know, he could get some round wins. He's fully capable of doing so, but does look to be much better than Lynxie at the moment. He's already opened up a 15-point gap between third and fourth. I mean, he's still within touching distance of Epos and Whizzy, so if one of them kind of capitulates Boz style, as in the previous match, we could see him back in contention. So I don't want to write him off completely just yet. You know, still a very capable player, has played, I think, every British and Irish Trackmania event that I can remember. So
Yeah, I
the
don't think he's missed
the
one.
tournament experience is there for sure. Maybe he just doesn't quite have the pace, but I expect him to be reasonably consistent.
Yeah, for sure. I think he'll still be able to put up a good performance here. I mean, he's only 8 points down from Epos after our first map, but he's going to be more after this round as he does go into the barrier on the right. A good opportunity for Lynxie to try and salvage some more points here. But it is once again Epos and Whizzy in a tight battle at the front, only, 400ths of a second apart. Epos in the lead this time round, maxing the outside dirt. That is, I think, the furthest left I've seen anyone go on it. But Whizzy with a good line up on the grass. Going to come down to these drifts here. Neither player super confident. Oh, Whizzy.
What?
Weird Whizzy line is back, and this time it's worked, as he does hold on to get the round win. By half a tenth of a second.
That's a line?
Yes, you missed this. You missed this last week. That was exactly my reaction with Boney last time. Yeah, Whizzy goes inside. And
does he know we're not playing Candy Crush?
I don't think so.
How is that faster? Or equal, even?
I gotta be honest, last week it didn't really look faster. It looked probably about half a tenth slower. So, yeah, maybe he finds it, more consistent. Maybe he... Yeah, I'm really not sure what's triggered him to do it. I'd love to ask him at some point why he does that line, but hey, he might have some time after this round as he has dropped a little bit behind. Nowhere near as bad as Acrose here, and this is a good opportunity for Lynxie. Pick up a second place. Probably won't be able to challenge Epos, even though it's only a tenth and a half. I think the gap is just going to be too big going into this final section.
Oh, he's clipped though, and Whizzy is going to come straight through.
As Whizzy goes outside this time, spicing it up. Even he doesn't know which line he's going to drive at any given time. Oh, Lynxie! Oh, that is so unfortunate. But yeah, he does beat Acrose with him 6 seconds behind. And Acrose doesn't look happy here at all.
No,
not his map.
He still has a decent cushion to Lynxie though. Like
only 9 points.
I guess. I mean, Lynxie hasn't looked great here either. It is becoming kind of a match of two pairs, shall we say, as Lynxie clips the inside hole there. Acrose into third place, Lynxie with another mistake. So that should put Acrose into third place here. But yeah, I think ultimately the focus is going to be on Whizzy versus Epos here. Both seem ultra trained, ultra consistent, ultra fast, as we expect them to be. So yeah, this could turn out to be quite the match if Lynxie and Acrose continue to be inconsistent and off the pace.
Yeah, this round, Acrose is, looking like a fairly solid third. Lynxie fourth. We see Whizzy going for this other line, and it's worked out very nicely. He picks up another round win over Epos and expands his lead ever so slightly up to, 7 points isn't that big in the grand scheme of things. That can get flipped around in a single round, a single crash, but, I'm sure he wouldn't complain if you told him that was the position he was in at the start of the match.
Whizzy even looks like he's doing like a weird speed slide into Scandinavian flick on the grass as well. It's mental.
Yeah, they're all playing Trackmania. He's playing, you know, WRC.
Yeah.
It's utterly bizarre.
But it works. It's not
Yep,
the
it
first
seems to
time
work.
we've seen a cool line from Whizzy as well. I remember, was it Menace? He found that like regrip line. Or was it Whizzy that found it, or was that just me being
I can't remember.
clueless? I can't remember.
I feel like he used it. I mean, the one I'll always remember, and I said this last week, is G-Force during the World Tour. A ridiculous outside line he found.
Yeah.
That was always great to watch. But we get to see how it works from being a bit further behind, about a tenth and a half down before that, and about 3/10 down after. So that time,
Yeah, but
really
look
not
at the
paying
time
off
from
at all.
Epos. 55.
But Epos has driven a 55.3.
Wow. Yeah, that's speedy. I don't know how close that is to world record. If you do some talking, Pastor, I'll look that up.
Oh, well, I've got the world records open.
You
And
do?
yeah,
Okay.
world record is a 55.27 by Epos.
So he was within half a tenth?
A tenth or about a tenth behind.
That's mental in
But
rounds.
yeah, incredibly good round there.
Just what we come to expect from him.
Yeah. From his own world record, though. You know.
Yeah.
That he set 2 hours ago.
He's cooking.
So yeah, clearly has the pace there on Mr. Setti, but not really with a lead over Whizzy here. Yet, you know, it's the two of them look very tight. I can't really call which way that is going to go.
Yeah. The gap has opened up here between second and third, so I think it's now a fight between Epos and Whizzy, which is going to go all the way, and Acrose and Lynxie in a battle. As you say, 9 points separate Acrose and Lynxie. Acrose didn't look very comfortable on Mr. Setti. As we go back we go onto Bottle of Water for the first time, and I don't really know times here. I don't know. Don't know who's going to be stronger, but I feel like we're definitely going to get one rotation here. There's no way that anyone drops onto last chance on this map, right?
Probably not. I need to see what points are again once you know, we come out of intermission. But I think Lynxie probably has margin. And
Lynxie on 32. If he
indeed have an absolute stinker.
Yeah, if he lost
he couldn't
4 rounds in a row, then he'd be on last chance as we go into the next one. So there's no danger of that, and I think he'll probably end up with a couple of thirds, or maybe even a second. You know, we saw the wet wheels bite Hendo in that final round versus Jaden, and I guarantee we will see at least one player in one round or more falling foul of those slippery tires once again in this match.
Yeah, it's proven to be a problem for a lot of players. There's been a lot of kind of slides there. God, it is once again Epos and Whizzy gapping the entire field. I think Whizzy might be, you know, going against your statement of, you know, they both look super trained, saying that he opened 1.5 hours before this. But that seems to be all that he needs. Perhaps inspired by his wild teammate there. But,
what? So he's only put in 1.5 hours prac a week, is what you're saying?
well, yeah.
Oh,
1.5 hours
wow.
and...
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Anyway, it's looking like enough for him, and they're only separated by 1 point. I can't believe how close they are after 9 rounds into this match here. Separated by 1 point. It's been an absolute slaughter for Acrose and Lynxie, though. They have been nowhere in this match. I thought they'd be able to contest a few rounds, but, you know, Lynxie only on 22 points, Acrose on 34. Both behind on pace and behind on consistency. It's the worst of both worlds for them.
Yeah, if Epos wins this match, I think he would move into second place above Hendo. And if Whizzy wins the match, he would move into a joint second place and would be above Epos because he would have won in their head-to-head, Whizzy, though, with a mistake here, is going to gift Epos this round as Acrose and Lynxie too far back to make things even worse for Whizzy. See what the time is from Epos, 59.2. Yeah, pace is great from Epos, and the first mistake we've seen from Whizzy in a while there.
Yeah, it's only 3 attempts off world record for that. Off Epos' own world record, of course. Gotta always add that in. And yeah, it's so close between these two. And again, Acrose and Lynxie struggling on pace and consistency. That is a round where both of them had an opportunity to avoid, a third and fourth place together. When they're just not there to pick up from the mistakes. It was always my mentality when I played, admittedly, nowhere near this level, but just if you know you're behind on pace, just try and focus on consistency. And
Sure.
You can, pick up scraps when they fall, especially if you're in kind of a match like this where it feels like 2 1v1s going on at the same time. But neither of those back two have really been able to capitalize. Looking a lot closer this time around, though. We can see only a few tenths behind, but I think they're just going to get outpaced by Whizzy and Epos here. Both such fast players. Whizzy ahead Epos ahead this time around. Whizzy just behind, but no way to close the gap now going into this final section. And Epos does a 0.0. In almost any other round, that would have been a comfortable winning time from Whizzy.
That's like GOAT status
0.0
from Epos. That's
yeah,
what, a 10th off world record?
Yeah, 1.3 tenths. So
okay. So he has found his form then. Well and truly.
For sure, he is looking very comfortable this match.
Yeah. I mean, that time from Whizzy, we said 0.2 from Epos the previous round was a dominant time. Whizzy drove that and still finished 0.2 off Epos. Like, that's the level we're talking about here. And so many times, like, I'm not even surprised by it anymore. He's just that good and that consistent. But I guess at the other end of the field, we've got to start looking at Acrose and Lynxie, who is now 12 points adrift, only 5 points remaining. So in his current position, will be going on to last chance here. And, oh no, definitely going on to last chance as Acrose comes through after that little touch of the back wheel. Oh, never mind.
Last chance. Nope, he'll still be going on to last chance, unfortunately. At least gets to bring, Acrose's points down anyhow. But Whizzy picks up a round win there. Slightly slower round from the first two, as Epos declares he has deployed the risky car. Because he was on record pace, he reckoned. Honestly, I can believe that. But yeah, we go into next round, into the next map, and we're going to have Lynxie on last chance. But Acrose only 7 points ahead. We could see, Lynxie pull one more upset this season and take down Acrose. I'm not sure it's going to happen. It's going to need a pair of very good rounds from him on Fugila, but it's possible.
I mean, if he does lose this, though, his score will be a very nice 4-3-2-1, and then he just has to not show up for his next match, and it would be perfect.
As elegant as it would be. I think he's lucky in one regard that he banked so many points early on, because it gives less weight to these matches from a point of view of, I don't think he's really in relegation threat at all. Of course, as I'm looking at it now, he is actually closer to it than he'd probably like to be.
Yeah.
And could well be affected by the results of the other match I've got open, which is Koza Miles, Yaruko, and Eggy.
So that's 3 players in the relegation
I think he'll be
zone.
safe. But yeah.
I mean, this is probably one of the toughest matches that he'll play in terms of everyone in the lobby is pretty stacked. Well, he's played Boz and Jaden, but the players that he had in that match as well were beatable, whereas he is essentially playing 3 players here that he's struggling against, and ultimately looks like he is set to finish 4th on last chance now. Acrose on 7 points, So there is a world where they end up on double last chance after one round. But Lynxie is going to have to hold on. And I would say this probably looked like his worst map. You said it was probably... you said it was his best historically, but it didn't look like that.
He didn't look good.
The
Oh,
first time around.
Acrose. That's huge. That's a huge mistake from Acrose as he drives into the wall. This gives Lynxie the opportunity, just safe, just try and finish the map. Finish ahead of Acrose, and you get a shot at double last chance. You get a shot to pick up a point from a match which you might have looked at and gone, you have no business stealing any points from. Of course, I can't believe quite how far ahead Whizzy and Epos are.
Yeah, what is Whizzy cooking here?
Still in the 70s, and yeah, Whizzy is on a very, very good run here.
Yeah.
Lynxie looks safe, so we can turn our attention to Whizzy. He is going to drive a 53.8. Not even the fastest we've seen in this map, but still a very, very good time.
Nope. Well, Acrose, -10, double last chance versus Lynxie. And this is an important one for Acrose as well. And Lynxie, I guess. Lynxie is currently a point behind Acrose in the standings. If he beats him here, he will go on to equals, but will be ahead on head-to-head. So definitely an important one for the standings here, and we'll see how it plays out.
Sure. Epos and Whizzy already slightly in front, but it is Lynxie who leads from Acrose. Seen Lynxie have a slightly different line going through this drop down, which doesn't look much faster, and as he does it again, Acrose does move ahead, but Epos made a mistake, drops down to 4th, and both might be saved for a round here. As I think, even with the incredible pace that Epos has, that is too much for him to close up. So, a round that we expected to decide for, the bottom of standings of this match could have a far bigger influence on the top, as Whizzy will get a 10-point advantage over Epos. It's a massive swing. And although Acrose does beat out Lynxie, doesn't matter this round. 0.7, low 0.7 as well from Whizzy, you know. Round where he was under absolutely no threat, and he goes and drives that anyway.
That's unreal. That's Epos in chat. You're sick, he says. I agree. What on earth is Whizzy cooking? Like 0.7 low? It's almost like they weren't even battling to win the round, but Whizzy's like, you know what? You've just driven 0.8. I can drive a 0.7. Go drive a 0.6. I dare you.
Yeah. He's not going to. Epos will not be driving a 0.6.
Well, he might be driving a 0.6, but it might be in the wrong second.
Yeah, true. But another lifeline for Acrose and Lynxie here. And Acrose might be getting a little frustrated here. He beat Lynxie once, he might be about to beat Lynxie again, as the two of them are going to go and win the round. Whizzy with another opportunity for a 10-point swing. Honestly, a match-defining pair of swings there. And he drives into a wall with it and reduces it to only 3 points. Lynxie will get the round win, though. He would have hoped that happened when he still had points. It's a bit late now.
I think that might be the first round that he's won.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. But what's the point swing? It's only 3 points, but still, they were almost equal, and now it's a 12-point gap, which is not astronomical, but I think it's probably the biggest that the gap has been throughout the entire match.
Oh, for sure. It's been within 10 the entire time up until this. Lynxie with a mistake there. That is unfortunate.
Oh,
and
yeah, he's
that
dead,
will be Lynxie out this time. No. Gifted 2 lifelines by Epos and Whizzy there. Could it be a third? It would need to be a massive incident as he hits the DNF key. Doesn't see the point in contesting it. I can kind of understand why. Acrose will hold on to that 3rd place by the skin of his teeth after 3 double last chance rounds with Lynxie. And after those pair of flukes, Epos and Whizzy looking back on form here. So tight. I'm not sure who's going to win this round at all. It's going to come down to this final drift. Epos does have more speed. And he drives a 0.8. Both of them drive 0.8s, but Epos was just a little bit faster.
Well, we'll see how long Acrose can stick around and spoil the party. The gap now down to 8 points as we move on to our next map, which I believe is Mysticetti. And
indeed,
I think Epos and Whizzy were pretty equal here, to be honest. They were trading blows, driving very similar times. I think Epos drove the fastest time, which was only about a tenth off his own world record. So Epos maybe has the ultimate pace advantage, but I would say they looked fairly equal overall.
Yeah, it's so hard to call any rounds between the two of them. I mean, Whizzy has looked a bit better on this map, I'd say. On the map just gone. But, with Lynxie gone and with Acrose probably on the way out quite soon, it changes the dynamic a bit from, consistent second places being acceptable because of the way points repetition works to, every round you kind of are going to have to full send, because if you crash, it's the same as if you come second consistently. There's no more players to make you drop points when you fall behind it. It's just a straight 1v1 they'll be falling into.
I am looking forward to that 1v1 though. Like, I was wondering if, like, because on paper I put Epos above Whizzy, but Whizzy, he said in chat himself that he's not trained, especially, but he looks so good. Like, we kind of counted him out in BIPC as well against Boz, and then he just looked in the best form of his life. And also in Encore, he was very unfortunate in Encore. It was the comeback of all comebacks from Boz that ultimately denied him.
Yeah.
So I think Whizzy still has every chance, still has the points lead in the match, but Epos has been driving the faster times. I can't call it. Genuinely cannot call it at the moment.
Well, we are here on our first round of Mr. Seti, and before the time we've reached even the third checkpoint, I believe, there is a 1.5 turn gap down to Acrose. Doesn't seem to be quite there on pace for now. With the Epos, on the other hand, still looking incredibly quick. No mistakes so far from any players, and Acrose, he needs to be praying for about 6 mistakes in a row here, I think. For him to drive the fastest of his life. He's looking like he's out of it, and this well could be the round where he goes. But Epos versus Whizzy, neck and neck. Whizzy goes in ahead, but is he gonna do this other line? This line which we question, is it even faster, or is it just to be safer? It didn't look faster that time, but he carries more speed, and with the more speed, he gets the round. Acrose is out. I think he'll be fine with that. Lynxie was his opponent. Whizzy declares the inside line faster. He got it to work that time at least. Gap goes back up to 12 points. Wow. What a round.
Here we go then.
Those two.
Whizzy on 56, Epos a 12-point deficit on 44, and it's going to be, I think, a 4-point swing every round from this point onwards. I'm excited. Like, this matchup is looking so even. Both players are driving some incredible times, and they're not really making the big mistakes. I'm really excited to see some close rounds, some really good driving, and basically the peak of the talent of BIPL and what BITM has to offer.
Yeah, it's just so tight between the two of them. Whizzy, again, going in ahead this time. Is that inside line going to work for him again?
It's slower. It's so much slower.
Oh, it's not when you're going to drive into the wall, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Epos, drove out right to the limit and unfortunately drove over the limit going into that pole. It looks really punishing, but, if you don't get the perfect inside exit kind of into that section, you just don't have the time to, avoid that barrier on the outside, and Epos gets caught out by it. Gifts around. I wouldn't even say gifts. Whizzy was there. He was so close.
Epos had to push it, yeah.
Epos to push. We talked about kind of unforced errors with Boz. That's what I call the forced error, If you make a mistake like that, when, you're right on the line, fair game. That happens.
This one is so close. Oh, Whizzy with the better outside line, though. Should carry more speed into the reactor. Epos does get a better exit and should carry more speed up the hill. Gets the
Going down it.
overtake, but for how long? Drift roughly equal. Epos with more speed. It's going to come down to this drift again. Whizzy on the inside. Epos on the outside. Clips the inside. Huge crash from Epos. And it's all going wrong for him. The gap widening ever more. Another 4-point swing. Epos down to 28. Whizzy on 48. The gap now 20 points. Whizzy has beaten Epos every round since Acrose was eliminated.
Yeah, and the gap, 20 points. That is going to be very, very challenging for Epos to overcome here.
That's 5 round wins.
Yeah, exactly. It might just be a little bit too much.
Feels like it, genuinely. Because, you know, 5 rounds from now, even if Epos is winning them, he's going to be getting 5 -4s. That will leave him on 8 points. So even if he's perfect in catching Whizzy 5 rounds out of 5, he'll have 8 points, and Whizzy will have...
Well, 8 as well, because he will have caught him.
Yes, yeah, that's how maths works, yes.
This round, though, well, Epos can try and start his set of 5 rounds to catch up to Whizzy. With this one, Whizzy making a mistake there, dropping about half a second behind. Epos should have this under control, can take this nice and safe. I think he'll be quite glad to see the end of this map, as it hasn't gone great for him. It has been this drift that has caught him out, you know, once on the apex, once on the exit.
0.5. Solid round there, but perhaps too little too late from Epos. So as we go on to... I don't think it's going to be our final map. Maybe our penultimate map. It's a 16-point gap.
I think we got at least another map left in this 1v1. The pair of them are so very tight here.
Yeah. I mean, even if Epos lost all 4 rounds in a row, he would be on last chance as we went on to the potentially final map at that point. I'm trying to cast my mind back and think who was stronger here. I think it was Epos. Epos drove the faster times, and I think one of the rounds he only crashed because he was pushing for world record. So you can kind of see inside his brain a bit there, and how he's operating. And potentially, if there was going to be a map where he can claw those points back, it could be this one.
Yeah, it's yeah, this is probably the map where I'd say Epos has looked best in comparison to Whizzy. He's just looked so quick, and you know, this map has been in rotation the whole time, and he has been a player who's just looked so good on it. So, you know, he has to start clawing those points back now, and I think he'll be glad to be going on to this one. That said, he'd probably have preferred this one to be the map where it came down to finalist. I can't see him being too pleased for, you know, last chance is probably gonna happen on, probably Fugila.
Yeah, stream can't see this, by the way, but Epos has just driven a 0.1 in warm-up. So, that's
yeah,
something.
Good start. That would win 95% of rounds, I am sure.
Yeah. Whizzy even saying in chat, I get pace diff here. So even he knows that Epos has the pace advantage, but that's probably going to put Whizzy on the back foot and potentially just highlight some consistency errors, because he knows to beat Epos, he's got to be driving, I would say, 0.2 at least. Like, Epos can comfortably drive a 0.2 every round and make it look easy. Whizzy is going to be pushing all the way here to try and match him. Oh, and he's already made a mistake. There it goes,
yep,
on the inside of the drift, and now Epos can just cruise to victory for the remainder of this round.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of what happens when you're paced if you're forced to push, and, you know, who cares when he's 9 seconds down? In terms of points, it's exactly the same as being a 10th down by the ending. Whizzy's going to have to full send every single round, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some more crashes here. But, you know, if Epos needs to make up 4 rounds on the bounce, well, that is the first of them. I almost spoke too soon. I almost spoke too soon.
He was going for that world record.
Oh, that was... How did he even bounce in there? I don't quite know how that happened. He is very lucky.
Not even close. Okay, he was full safing. I thought he was trying to like go into the finish as early as possible to try and get that world record, but apparently not. Apparently full safing and almost making a very costly error. I think even with a respawn there, Whizzy was far back enough that he would have been able to make the finish. But I think that's probably going to be the biggest gap that we see at the finish line. We're used to mere hundreds and thousands between these two at this point. But as we say, Whizzy seems to be the player chasing as Epos moves into a lead. Was that a mistake there from Whizzy? Yes, it was. Touches the outside wheel on the outside dirt and gifts Epos a half a second advantage once again here. So the gap coming down 12 points, and you would imagine at the end of this round it's going to be a mere 8 points. So Epos showing that on this track at least he appears to be dominant as Whizzy slides into the wall as well, further compounding the errors and the time lost relative to his counterpart.
I'll be intrigued to see what pace Epos has got here, whether he is kind of safe in these rounds knowing that Whizzy is making mistakes, or whether he's... okay.
That's a point two.
I mean, it's a point two. It's very good, but it's not insane, you know. I mean, in any other player, I'd be absolutely applauding them for driving a point two, but we've seen, you know, a 0.0 from Epos here. So a 0.2 almost looks safe or comfortable, which is very, very strange to say. But yeah, the gap now down to only 8 points between Epos and Whizzy. We said in the last map, you know, we were working out it would come down to 8 points each if Epos were to get 5 in a row, and he's got 3 of them now.
Yeah, this is definitely a much more manageable gap. Like, I would say... oh, never mind. I would say at this point he doesn't need the 5 in a row. He's not going to get them as he clips the outside dirt and drives directly into the ramp. So Whizzy is going to get one back here. Epos will be down to 8 points with Whizzy on 20. So that's a bit more of a precarious situation. That puts Epos 1 round away from last chance.
Yeah, for sure. Epos really needs to try and pick up every single round he could here, and this hasn't happened on this round. It is very unfortunate for him, as the gap will start to open up again. He'd probably look around and go, you know, it's a good time, but that's beatable. So, you know, but with the managing to keep it clean there, managing to put Epos under enough pressure, playing the Uno reverse card, as he has said.
Okay, one more round here on what has seemingly been Epos' strongest map. 2 out of 3 rounds won so far, and pretty convincingly with Whizzy having to push and making mistakes, but on that occasion it was Epos making the error. We'll see if he can hold on this time. Gets into a narrow lead around the outside dirt. Yeah, just gets that better exit over Whizzy, so we go through the ring checkpoint. It's only about a 10th. Whizzy definitely still in contention here. See if Epos can pull out this gap even further with this drift. Whizzy further on the inside, but Epos carrying more speed past the apex into the outside dirt. We haven't seen anyone fall foul of the wet tyres yet when it's mattered. Epos is not going to be the first player to do so either. Whizzy still in contention, but 2 tenths back. Epos is driving a pretty insane round here, it has to be said. Can he hold on? Whizzy caught up a little bit on that drift, but Epos knows he's in the lead here and is going to take the victory. 0.268. 3 out of 4 rounds. I think Epos will take that, you know?
Yep. He'll take 3 out of 4 there. And yeah, it's going to come down to an 8-point gap. There's going to be some interesting maths to be worked out in terms of, you know, how many rounds he needs to win on bounce. I think it's going to have to be 3. Which is, I mean, he drops
down to last chance here no matter what.
Yeah.
But you are correct. It will have to be 3 rounds. Or 3 rounds on the bounce? Yes. Yeah, 3 rounds. Yeah. 2 rounds to get to a double last chance. 3 rounds to win it. Whizzy needs... I wouldn't even say 2-round wins, because Epos goes on to last chance whatever here. Just needs to win 2? 1?
Yeah.
1 round.
I mean...
1 round of the next 3. Yes.
But maybe not the next one.
No.
We're doing great maths here. We're doing on-stream maths, everyone. Always a treat for all involved. But Yeah, this is still advantage Whizzy, but that gap
I
has
think so.
closed significantly.
I mean, on this map as well, Whizzy definitely looked better. Epos was not having a very fun time with the bug slide on a few occasions. And I think Whizzy actually had the pace advantage here, drove that low 0.7. Epos did drive a 0.7 of his own in the first rotation, but Whizzy, yeah, the faster out of the two of them. I expect Whizzy to repeat that performance here. I was just about to tell you what he was going to drive in warm-up, but he didn't make the finish. So I'm not going to be able to tell you there.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where this is going to leave them in the standings now. Every other match has gone and finished, other than this one. As I just watched Yoruko put on the strongest last chance performance I might have ever seen. To go from 50 points down to get into double last chance and then lose it. Which was quite unfortunate and very typically Nyar. But I'll be intrigued to see where this puts these two in the championship. Decent chance to, you know, maybe snatch a second place here. Behind Jadon, who looks fairly comfortable to win now. But
oh, Epos has clipped.
Oh, that's not exactly what Epos needed. But this round doesn't really matter.
No. No, I think he knows it as well.
So they can take this one a bit more chill.
I mean,
reset.
We say it doesn't matter. It would have meant one less round that Epos had to win. Is that right? No?
Whizzy's guaranteed his last chance. Well, if Epos doesn't win every round now, he loses. So Whizzy will go on to last chance next time.
Sure.
So yeah, after all the failed on-stream maps, it was 2 in a row that Epos needs, starting from now. This is the moment for him. That was a nice extra round of warm-up for them. Who is going to blink first? Are we going to see this decided by, you know, a matter of a couple of attempts or by a mistake? Whizzy with a slight lead for now, but that can easily come crashing down. Epos with a slightly cleaner looking line, goes tighter on the grass. It's going to catch up a little to Whizzy, but not all the way. And Whizzy extending that gap once more. It's about a tenth of a second now.
Oh, what a line though.
Very, very good dirt player. Is he able to max his outside dirt, try and catch up to Whizzy? It looks like he does, but the setup's a bit awkward now. Going on this downhill, it is advantage Whizzy. It is only half a tempo. We've seen how tight this ending can be. Epos goes for it, and it's not enough. As they both drive 0.7s.
What a round to end things. I mean,
they
Epos
separated
full sent the dirt. Full sent the dirt. And the drift as well. But he just ended up going a little bit higher on the ramp. Caught more airtime. More distance to the finish. And Whizzy winning with a 0.7 though. But what a result from Whizzy. Epos looks so good in the first half of the match. Just pulling out crazy times, but ultimately it was the mistakes that cost him. Whizzy having the cleaner match overall, and great result for Whizzy there. Brings himself up into an overall third place at the moment, just behind Hendo, who I believe he is playing in the next match. I don't believe he's played Hendo. Yes. So that will be a tiebreaker there between Whizzy and Hendo. That will ultimately decide... Is that second place or third place? That will decide second place. Big match.
Of course, with an asterisk of where Epos is going to end up in that whole scrap.
Sure.
As I believe... who won out of Epos and Hendo? I'm guessing that was 1 point that Hendo dropped at the start of the season. So they could end up in a little rock, paper, scissors scenario. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to see how that ends up. But with Hendo and Whizzy playing each other, we might avoid that. I don't know. It's going to be a great battle for second here. But you see that, and you see that 2 point gap, and you have to say, I think Jadon has one under wraps. You know, if you look at the title competition, he's played Hendo, he's beaten Hendo. He's beaten Whizzy. He's beaten Epos.
Yeah. Even
None
if he
of these
finishes
top three.
in. Wait, I was gonna say even if he finishes in second place.
If he finishes
Yeah,
third, he'll be safe.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Even if he finishes third, he'll be winning on head to head. So yeah,
Yeah.
Jaden seems set for the crown. And if Hendo loses to Whizzy, there and Epos wins, then he'll be finishing fourth. So very important for Hendo. Second versus fourth, basically.
Yeah.
Whizzy eyeing
Big
up
swing.
second place, and Epos also eyeing up second place. So it's still all to play for.
Yeah, it's a really, really strange looking leaderboard this time around, trying to work out where everyone's going to end up. But I think, Hendo with Epos are going to fill the second, fourth spots, but I have no idea exactly which way they're going to end up. So yeah, only one more match to go. We're now probably going to go and have an argument behind the scenes as to which match exactly we're going to be streaming, because there's a few really good ones. I'm not sure exactly which one we're going to catch. So we're going to go have this argument now, and we will be back in after a short break.